Hey, good morning, Nate. Good morning. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Um, let's get started, guys. I have some important stuff to cover, and let's jump in. So, a couple of things that I want to start the day off with that are important. First of all, I'm going to start to post the best trade of the day. I just did it. I'll cover it in a minute when there's a few more people in the room. Um, and I want y'all to think when you're trading. And Joyce, Randy, and Nate, y'all actually all three have gotten really good at this, right? Which is, what is your market? I spent some time with Nate yesterday talking to him. I spent some time in the past week with Randy and of course Joyce as well, and others in the room, right? Like what I learned about Randy that was interesting is when I give Randy an instruction, you have to have this, it has to look like this. He does it great. That's something I do really poorly, right? I'm not a rule follower. I struggle to follow my own rules, right? Joyce, right, has a hard time flipping back and forth between shorts and longs. For the most part, she sat quietly through the roll down, not worrying about the shorts. But when the longs have come up, she's executed really well, right? And she's learned to manage her capital really well. And then Nate, right, who I think is an inherently pretty good trader on his own, but is a lot like me in terms of nail down and he gets bored easily, right? Has really started to learn, what, like it's the first time that he's on, I like this trade, and where he likes to trade is in the middle of that channel with the squares, and he's developed a pretty unique approach to that, right? So the part that I want everyone to pick up on and realize, right, is that each person within this set of rules are going to have, um, they're going to have unique setups that make sense to them. Where, um, where I run into difficulties, I trade almost everything pretty well except extremely slow markets, right? Like I can pretty much adapt to any circumstance the market throws at me, except very slow, and even then, I really strive to adapt to it. So let's go back to the basics this morning and take a look at where the broader market is, and we'll just kind of jump from there. Okay, so the first thing you'll see here, this is a 60-minute value chart, right? But the first thing you see if you look this morning, look, in order to be short, it's really simple in terms of a larger move down. Okay, just mark off 24,997.50, right? The market cannot accelerate down. So what I find is with guys who like to short, is they always think, well, I can pick off this edge up here, and then I'm going to somehow get this magical sweep down there, right? But if you look at where markets accelerate up and down more easily, right? Look how we reversed, right? So go back to yesterday. So like this is hours of we couldn't trade and hold below here, right? See that? So this is hours. So this is yesterday, right? See how we had all these hours and we could not trade and hold above here, right? So this is going to be relevant in just a second. I'm going to put this line here. Okay. Okay, everyone see that? We could not trade and hold below. So now, right, that's the hourly chart. So now you'll know, right? I would say, oh, if we're going to go lower, so imagine this is what we were looking at yesterday, right? When we got here, right, and let's say this is a casual conversation, I'd be like, oh, we closed above, right, here and here on the hourly, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is go back and look to the left. See how this is all poorly auctioned? Guess what? That can all get easily re-auctioned, right? So if you take that concept, right, and then you go, look, we couldn't close above. Look how many hours this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hours underneath where we could not close above 24, 8, 10, right? Sometimes you can make it really easy for yourself. So when we close above 24, 8, 10, and you go, Simon, what would it need to be short again? Like, how would you think we'd retest the lows? I'm going to go, well, we're going to close underneath 24, 8, 10, and we won't close back above when we do on any significant time frame, right? And we'll get our short signals underneath 24, 8, 10. So you can take this concept and build on it all the way around. It doesn't have to be just one way or the other way. It works on all time frames. right? The idea is you have to get above and hold above or get below and hold below. So if you look, right, when we came into yesterday, right, you would have gone, oh, look, they're holding. They tried below here, failed. They tried below here. It's really not underneath. But then yesterday, right, remember, these are hourlies. That's a really big move down, right? And so you would go, wow, it looks like we're going to take out the low based on that open drive in the first few minutes, right? And then we would come back and look at this over here to the left, right? So I'd go, oh, it looks like we're going to take out those lows. But then something funny happened there. Um, something really funny happened there, right? That reversal came almost right away. Like within 12 minutes, we already got the reversal back up. It couldn't hold below the 24,810. Now isolate on that, guys, right? Slow down, isolate on that. Now go back to your chart and go look at yesterday morning. This has nothing to do with algos or anything else. This just has to do with basic market observation that a few people in the room are missing. Okay. So that yellow line is 24,810. See that? So what I would have said, looking at that, if I was thinking the market, I'd be like, oh, we're short. We don't get above 24,810. What's this line right here? I'll make it really big. Like to me, I might have even said, right, oh look, we're coming right back to it. I might have, if it wasn't the first 8 minutes of the day, gone, let's short right there. That makes sense, right? That short should have worked. Whoever was thinking about that, that was a good short in my book. Right? If someone pointed out I shorted that, I'd have been like, yeah, I know we went supernova, but we came right up to 24,810. It had to hold underneath. They tried it, failed, right? And then you'll see here's where the person made a mistake. See how when we're behind that number, that guy and these two guys, that was a bad short. Okay? I'm going to say that again. That was a bad short. Why? You're over the line. And good shorts, right? Good shorts work better when you're underneath or it's closing underneath, even the weakest algos that we have, the white bars, right? That should have closed underneath and you should have gotten some kind of extension. Additionally, see how the weaker trades, the white bars here on the turn are getting extensions, right? So see how that white bar, of all these white bars on the turn, that one was the strongest white bar because it had the imbalance as well. See how that got no traction? That was a huge clue. It was actually the strongest bar, got the least amount of responsiveness from from the um, from the indicator, right? From that price action indicator, right? Now look, watch. Now when it comes back to that 24,810, right? Remember what you have to the left, right? See this? If we erase our lines and we go seller, 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 seller. Well, if you take that and block that off, guess what sellers have to do when they've been smoked? They have to turn buyers. See that? They have to turn buyers. Does that make sense to everybody? They don't, I guess they don't have to, but you're gonna have to get back underneath that 24,810 to make them want to come back in. And the only way you could have seen that easily was by just glancing at the hourly. So guys, is that confusing in any way? Uh, does that make sense the way I explained it to you? Yeah, I'm doing good, Joyce. Okay, Joyce and Nate and Randy, I put out a checklist last night. I don't know if you saw it. It's a PDF. It's a simple PDF, right? All it does, it's right up here. If you look, it's this PDF, right? Here, I'll open it. Okay, I'm going to go through it real quick so everyone will see it. Okay, are we above or below prior day's high? Are we above or below prior day's low? Are we inside prior day's range? Neutral, balanced, right? All I'm trying to accomplish with this checklist is give you a list. Globex high and lows. Are we below Globex high, bullish overnight sentiment? Are we below Globex low, bearish overnight sentiment? Are we inside overnight range, neutral, balanced, right? What I'm trying to do is give you a quick glance sheet because I find people are missing these basics when they're trading, good morning, Joshua, um, that they're missing these basics, right? This is a quick checklist, right? So I'll keep building on this, but I wanted to make it simple, right? Directional alignment signals, right? First hour, are we above first hour highs? Are we below first hour highs? Et cetera, et cetera. I just want to draw your attention to it so you're keeping up with it, right? And then directional alignment, strongest bullish opportunities, all must align above prior day's high, overnight high, and IB high, right? First hour. Strongest bearish opportunities, below prior day's low, below overnight low, and below IB low, right? How to use the checklist, right? 1 or 0 align, mean revision likely, right? So it's an easy checklist. You can print it out or just have it on your desktop. That's why I printed that. Pretty easy peasy, okay? I'm going to start printing, right, or posting what's the trade of the day, okay? That's what this is right here. NQ best trades of the day and why, okay? And I'm going to give the list. One of the things I see people doing, right, is I see people not collecting money. So this is an account I started yesterday, right? I took some money from TRADEify and I just started a new account. So it's this one right here. I started this yesterday morning. Okay, it has to reach 51. It has to reach $5,250, right? And this is what I want you to imagine with these accounts. You'll see right now I'm up $221 on the day. I was up about $800 and change by the end of the day yesterday. Okay, so here's one of the things I want, and most of which half came in the morning, half came in the afternoon. Okay. Um, and I traded a maximum of 9 if I could add 3 more micros, but no more than 9 contracts, 9 micros traded to achieve that. Okay. So here's one of the things I want people to do in the room. I want you to go, I gave you $2,000 and you have to eat off of it, right? So I want you to add up your eating costs, right? So you had to start somewhere. If that was your $2,000 in cash, right? I need to eat every day. So I know for my family, if I had to feed everyone every day and we eat our normal menu, I'm talking about brunch, uh, lunch, dinner, and breakfast and snacks. I know most days, assuming that I'm eating at home, I don't spend more than $50, probably not even $30 for all 3 of those meals, right? I want you to think about it like that. So you start thinking about this like it's real money, right? And I find that's one of the problems that a lot of people that I talk to in trading are not doing. They're not acting like it's real money, right? And let me tell you what the funniest thing is about that, right? They will throw away $200 or $300 in profits, right? But if they incurred an extra cost of 25 or 30 bucks, they'd get outraged, right? Let's say your credit card or your bank charged you $30 extra for a fee, or someone mischarged your credit card. You'd be outraged over the $30. But if you're up 200 or $300, you go, fuck it, right? And that's a big problem in your trading. So when you get these accounts, don't do that, right? Go, that feeds my kids even at $200. Now, what I want to talk about is we're always at this conflict, right? I want to make more money. There's an infinite amount of money to be made, but I've already made my dollars for the day, or I have to qualify the account. How does that work? Look, I make $200 on this thing with I can make $200 on this thing with three to 6 micros almost every single day. If I'll wait for those squares and I'll align myself with which way the market's going. But I can't do that unless I understand where the market has the most highest likelihood of going. And that's going to be the theme of every single, right? Every single trading day. Okay. I started this yesterday morning, right? Yesterday was the first day. I'm up $1,000. Now I'm probably the most competitive person in this room, I'm going to guess. I want every trade I can get, and I'm constantly trying to figure out the angle, right? But I'm treating this account, right? Treating this account like it has to make, right? Has to feed me, right? So there's all the strategies I'm going to discuss going forward in the room are how to make money and how to keep the money, right? So when we come into yesterday, right, you have to look and go, where are we most likely, right? Where are we most likely to go lower? So to back it up for just a second so everyone's on the same page, right? Stop during your day and look at where the hourly bars are. If you can't do it on the hourly, do it on a 30-minute, right? Hey, look, In order to go lower, right? See this? I have 10 hours. This guy made a big push. This guy made a big push. This guy made a big push, right? I cannot get, right, above these guys and think that I have a good short. As a matter of fact, if you look at it from a natural standpoint, right? If they can't go lower, right? Play it like Sesame Street. If you can't go lower, you're going to go higher. And the most likely place to go higher is going to be this. That's just a fact, right? Because it couldn't get above that. And if you can get above that, the next place you're likely to go is this, right? And above is excess, above is excess, below is excess. So to go lower, right? If you said Simon, right? Two things. First of all, in order to go lower this morning, right? Or if I look at overnight, see how, look at the overnight. You don't have to look at the algos to figure this out. They couldn't go down. Look, they try to get underneath this to the left. That was the highest close in this area, right there. We tried 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours we spent trying to get back underneath 24,994. Write that down on your notes. 24,994. If we don't get under it, we aren't going lower today, right? We're at 25,150. So guess what? We're not the only geniuses that can look at this chart, right? So in all likelihood, somewhere between this 24,994, let's say plus or minus 30 points in here, you're going to find responsive buyers in that area, right? You don't have to have 30 years of experience to tell you that. After that, right, where could we not get above? Right here, right? They tried all night long to get above 24,878. When we get to 24,878, there's likely to be responsive buyers, right? And lastly, in order to come down and test these lows, I've got to get below 24,810, and we're likely to have responsive buyers between 24,810 and whatever this is, 24,804, right? Again, plus or minus 25 or 30 points in that area. It's NQ, right? And where are we likely to go? Where's the next highest closes? So go back and look. Over that level is this level right here, right? And we have excess above 25,089. And if I go back further, I'd have to go back and look what was above there. You can literally mark off your chart. Sorry, I messed up. I'll just really, I don't know what messed up there, but I'll fix it. There we go. Please stop. Okay, so that's my map for today, right? I know today, first thing you can write down on the top of your sheet, right? Super simple. I need below 25,08975 to go anywhere. It'll be the same thing with NVIDIA's numbers. It'll be the same thing with everything out there, okay? The weakest spot the majority of the people in this room have is they can't look at a large picture and say, we're probably running out of steam up here, or we're probably running out of steam down there. So yesterday, once we trapped back into 24,810, right, and then we got above 24,878, you should not have wanted to take any shorts, right, until it showed some kind of weakness. Now, I know no one had time to watch the video, so I'm going to go through that now really quick, because psychologically this matters, right? So if you were telling me you were going long up here, right? If you were telling me you were going long up here, I'm going to go, okay, right? But you're going to meet with responsive selling in all of this. All of this is going to be responsive selling. It just is, right? Why? Because everyone and their brother can see that for multiple days, we couldn't hold above there, right? So now when you restore, now go look overnight. And yesterday, here, I'll pull the chart in. Okay, here's Monday, Friday, right? Monday we couldn't get up there. Tuesday we couldn't get up there. Then, excuse me, yesterday, right? As we approach, It took to the end of the day, but we got notice that this green line is right where I was saying that 25.053, that's where we're going to meet resistance. This is 25.053. You'll notice it started rejecting. Now I want to bring up one very important point about that. Okay. There is nothing wrong with shorting once you are up there if you understand how resistance does or doesn't work and what you have to see. Okay. There's nothing wrong with shorting once we get up there, but you got to let it get to a point where you can look on a higher time frame, use an hourly, right? And go, they sold up here before, maybe they'll sell again. And if I was going to do that, right? If you want a short to come back in and you go, we're at resistance, what do I want to see? Let me show you, right? Once I get up here, I would like to see squares on the turn bar. That one stopped. That one worked, right? Now, this has nothing to do with above value, below value, or anything else. I am literally making a bet, right? I'm literally making a bet that says they're going to reject out of here. Why was that rejection bet a good bet? I'm going to explain. First of all, we are not trending up. We're in balance. Okay, that was not the best trade. That is what I consider a little bit more expertise in order to take that, right? Secondly, they were right up at the high, right? You're going to have to be willing to short at the high to make that work. So you better have other evidence. Write it down, right? So that when I ask you, why did you short it? That square should be the last piece of evidence you have as to why you shorted, not the first. Okay, remember the trader assist is there to help you with the last piece, not the first piece. The first piece, the last piece is helping you so you can do the brain work on the first piece. The first piece is, am I in an area that I have a reason to believe it'll go higher and lower? What's the reasons to believe the market could go higher and lower? I'm going to list them for you, and I'm going to make sheets for this and post them, okay? I can be an inverse supernova, okay? I can be below prior day's low, Globex low, first hour low, right? I can be in resistance, right? I can have evidence that the market's rotating down heavily, right? All these things are valid answers, right? The thing that I find the most difficult or the most frustrating is one of the things I look for when I'm just watching, right? Sometimes you can just sit there and watch. Are we going up and down? Are we just going down? Is there zero rotation, right? Is there zero rotation? Write it down. I'm going to build an additional checklist. The checklist I'm referring to right now is the first basic checklist that I've posted up in the room. You can download it to your computer. It's a simple PDF. I went over it earlier. It's right up here. It's this. I didn't put it down. Base alignment checklist, bias alignment checklist, prior day structure, Globex, first hour, and then kind of a checklist of the variances in between. Okay. You have to be able to answer some of these questions and be aware of some kind of structure within the market so that you can go like this. Hey, Simon, where do you think we'll go lower today, right? So I can answer that question. This is how I would answer that question. Okay. First, this was a prior day high. That blue line was a prior day high. I'd go, well, I had to be below that. They have to trap. They have to trap there. Secondly, I can see since 1 in the morning, there's almost no down rotations. See that? There's almost no down rotations. I don't think I want to short no down rotations, right? That's me personally. I don't want to short no down rotations, right? Next, in order to really go down, now I have a checklist for today. So let's build it. I've got to get below 25,140. Once below 25,140, I got to see that they're willing to not support what was prior resistance, which goes all the way down to 25,08975. So write down 25,08975. If we dip in there, we're likely to get responsive buyers. Is a guess, right? I don't know that. I would just think first time in, responsive buyers. Why? Because we had hours and hours and hours of responsive sellers. Okay, sellers turn buyers. Basic technical premise, right? Next, in order to really go lower, I got to get below 25,078. Have it written down, guys. Do a checklist. Am I above or below? This isn't even trading. This is just saying to somebody, wow, now what does it have to look like, right? Well, the suck scenario is it does this and goes straight down to first hour low, no rotation, counter rotation, no chance to get short. That would suck, right? Even worse is if it came in here and gave us a bunch of buy signals, right? And stopped all those buy signals and just went straight lower. Could that happen? Yes. Why? Volatility is heightened and the range is wide. I don't think it'll happen, but it could. Okay, that's number one. How do I know we're going higher and I don't want to short X above? Globex high. If I hold above Globex high for 30 minutes, start a timer or go look. Holding above Globex high for 30 minutes and not closing back in, that is a bad sign for shorts. Okay? They're going to be pressured, right? They're going to be pressured if we hold above, right? So now I have a picture in my head what it'll look like if we're short. We'll be underneath this zone. I'll be underneath Globex high. I'll look at the open range, right? I'll know where the first hour low is, right? I'll know where the first hour low. And ultimately, if I'm going to be short, I have to be back inside the range from the prior day, right? That gives the buyers the overall hand. So here's where the confusion will come in. But Simon, what if it rejects from up here too far, too fast, and it falls? You got to remember, there's two ways to trade this. Okay, I can be a swing trader or I can be a day trader. Since I am a day trader, I want all the momentum in my direction. And I did this in the video, but I'm going to explain yesterday really quickly. Okay, this is yesterday. I did a video on it if you want to watch it slowly. I'm going to help you out psychologically here. Sorry for all the lines. Let's go back and erase this. Here's 8:30 yesterday. Okay, this is 8:30 yesterday. Okay, here is Monday's low. Here is Globex low. Here is the open. Okay, which means this is the opening print high, roughly. Okay, so if you will go back and look, which you would, if you do this on a daily basis, you would see, right? For days and days, we haven't gotten above the opening print high. First clue that there's a massive problem with shorts, right? I've got to be, right? This was a good indication for shorts. I would have gone, hey, if I can get a short underneath Globex low or even up here, right? We may be short as long as I don't get above the opening print. That put that on your list, right? Where's the first high? Are we above or below the first 5-minute opening rotation, right? I'm not saying trade it. I'm just saying when we're super bearish, we don't get above it, right? Secondly, if we were super bearish, we would have never recovered Globex low. And third of all, we would have taken out the low. As a matter of fact, I said in the room, I went back and listened to the recording, it's on YouTube. I said, we should bounce and then come back, and I would expect us to take out the low. And it didn't, right? And I said, oh, wow, it didn't take out the low. ES did, NQ didn't. Big clue. NQ has been the weaker market between the two, right? Next, what do I not want to see? What do I not want to see when I am trading, right? What I do not want to see, right, is squares down print and getting stuffed. 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, all before 8:40. No one should have said, well, I got upset and I shorted that or I didn't see it. Like, that is like, that should sound like a siren blaring in your ears. 4 squares, double squares in a row, and they all, oh, that's an Amber Alert. Sorry, guys. 4 squares in a row. You should have gone, oh my gosh, 4 squares in a row. When's the last time you saw 4 squares in a row and none of them went to profit, right? That should have set off fire alarms in your head, right? Next, we went from taking out Globex low to taking out Globex high. Alarm should have set off. Now, therefore, if someone said, well, I took this short right here, I would have said that was probably a bad idea. It worked, but bad idea. Why is it a bad idea? Because I have an example here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares in a row that have stopped. Why do I want to take the sixth, even if it's 8:47 in the morning, right? I want to see, right, if I looked earlier and I was trading overnight, I would have said, but look, right, prior to 7:30, I would have gone and said, but look, Simon, the squares on the turns, right, are working pretty darn good, right, within the 30 points range that we use. I would have said they're working pretty good, right? Even if you had taken squares that weren't, quote, on the turn, right, the squares down, right, worked pretty damn good all night, right? So all of a sudden, getting five in a row that don't work make me go, oh, that's weird, right? Go try to find another place where you get five squares in a row stopped. I'd love to know where it is. I'm not going to spend the time searching for it because I'd have to search for a long time. Okay. Next, this is a 250 point impulse move at least. It's 24, let's call it 24/7 to 24,950, 250 point impulse move in 20 minutes. Straight line, no selling, no breaking of a swing, nothing. I don't want to short that. Okay. Next. And I covered this in the video, so I'm doing it quickly. Okay. I posted it. Okay. Next. What I see, right, when I'm coming down is I don't have any evidence that my squares up are working until, right, until here and here. So if you said, I took this square up when we're shooting straight down, this is rotation from 960 to 814, 160 points. That was in 7 minutes, right? I would have gone, I don't want to take this square either, right? I don't want to catch a falling knife, right? Now, it's different with a trader assist and the way that it's doing it, and I'll cover that in just a second. How am I doing on time, right? But I'm going, I don't care if it bounces. I don't want to get my butt kicked. Remember, I'm going back to the thesis. I have $2,000 and I need 50 bucks to feed my family, or 100 bucks, or whatever your daily bread is, right? Well, I don't want to take that. I have no idea if it's free falling or if it's going to keep free falling, right? What I do know, right? What I do know is that I'm above the 5-minute 200 period moving average. I'm above VWAP, right? Those are, much of the market considers that bullish. I've had an impulse move, and I know in order for this impulse move to fail, I've got to get an impulse move below the 62 retrace, right? This is the 382. This is the 50 right here, which is where we came back to, and the 62. I do want to leave one point. If your strategy was to trade the 50 retrace and you got this square and you used it as a 30-point stop, that was fine. But you have no evidence that there's rotation up yet, right? But now, right over here, you have evidence that people are willing to buy. Why? Because unlike these moves, right, this is roughly 30 points, this is 10 points, this is 15 or 20 points, right? This one goes from 818 to 63, 50 points. That's a good rotation. The average NQ rotation is 30. We're exceeding it. We then pull back to retest the 200, right? And now the difference between this and this is that this is the square on the turn and it has a blue dot. That is worth me taking 30 points for, right? If you moved your stop up, your trailer got stop break even. Otherwise, you hit your first two scales, right? That was not the trade of the day, okay? Why? Because we're trending down and we have not gone supernova. Now we've gone supernova, right? This is barely a 30-point rotation. If you took this, I'm fine with it, right? If you said I took that trade and I got a scale and stopped on my trailer, I'm cool with that, right? Why? We've gone supernova, right? We attempted above Globex high. There were responsive buyers right below Globex high, and you could have argued that we're going to do this. Totally agree, okay? But the best trade, right? The best trade was where you got an in excess of a 30-point rotation, meaning you've beaten the standard deviation for an NQ rotation. You get the blue square. There's evidence that we are rotating up. You already have it, right? You already have it. Nothing is getting stuffed in here, right? Green bars are lifting, orange bars are lifting. Everything's working there, right? Okay, I took this. And not only am I taking it, my bet is we can bet Globex high, right? And so someone comes back to me and goes, hey, I shorted here and I shorted here, right? When my argument would have been, number one, right, in order to be short, right, we are on the upside of the original range and we've consolidated. We've spent from 840, right, to 910. That is half an hour above a key level. I do not want to short that until we get back in, retrace, and then I can go, okay, now maybe it's short and I can retest. These models should be spinning in your head, right? It doesn't even have anything to do with trading. You should be going, can we rotate up? Can we rotate down, right? So that makes this the um, double square circle the best. On top of that, there's one more piece that from my conversation with Nate, right? See this over here? And Ed would probably point out the same thing. Someone tried to sell pretty hard with the orange dot down. They reversed it. When they got above him, they took off. Someone tried to sell pretty hard here, right? They reversed it. When we got above them, they gave an algo up, lifted pretty hard. You could have scalped through that, right? No one sold over here, right? So through here, this guy is your strongest seller. This is your entry. You'll see they tried to break him the first time. Didn't work. Algo above him, and it took off, right? Those are important little mixes. They're more technical in nature, right? You didn't need to know all this in order to conclude that if we don't stop back into the opening 5-minute print, other traders are going to consider that bullish, even if that's not in your mix, right? And then if you look when you got on top, let's say you wanted to short. The first thing you're looking for is to actually get rotations. If you were shorting up here, right? Again, stuffed, no bar underneath, right? This is the first place I see a rotation down. I go, oh, I see a rotation down, right? Little rotation, big rotation. And see how this is the first hour high? If someone came back to me and said, I took this bar short and this bar short, and the reasoning was, I thought we were going to roll lower. We attempted above the first hour high and we failed, right? I would go, that's acceptable to me. As a matter of fact, that is better than shorting here, here, and here. Because here, you have absolutely no rotation, no evidence that the market's willing to rotate. So if you shorted over here and over here, I'd go, yeah, that makes sense. I can see the market has started to go sideways. I accept that you wanted to short there. I'm all right with that, right? Now, once you got this guy right here, they stuffed him, right? And they gave you this dot above. It was toast. You don't want to start shorting again. So if you came back to me and said, well, I shorted this, I'm going to go right back to you at the same time again and go, why? Why were you short at that area? Because, hold on a second here. There we go. Why were you short at that area? Because there's no evidence of rotation, right? There's no swing break. Now, if you said you shorted here, right? Shorted here because you saw this work, I'd go cool, right? I've got no problem with that now. You have evidence. So before you flip on the trader, right? Before you flip on the trader, have evidence that the trade you want to do, be willing to let that first trade go in exchange for getting reconnaissance. Hey, they're willing to trade it up or down. I will show you the trade I took in the afternoon. If I can find it. Right there. I took that trade. Why did I take that trade? First of all, I wanted to go long here, but they didn't give me the square up. I can see that there's clearly, right, a willingness to give at least 2 or 3 bars up, right? There's a clear willingness to give 2 or 3 bars up. The only problem with this is I didn't have a strong seller down here. I would have liked this bar. In an ideal world, this bar would have been transported right here or here, right? And I'd have gone, oh, I got a seller, and now they're stuffing them and taking them the other way. Okay, that's how I would have. That's how I would have read that. Okay, and then if you look in Asia, right? This was econ, by the way, and we just opened. I'm going to go over for a minute. Okay, I was out here working right here, and this was untradeable, just so you know. It pretty much swept straight down, straight up, and I made that $200 right there and right here when we trapped back in on that, and I went to sleep at midnight, and that was that, right? So for today, right, the other thing I want to bring up, okay, so write down your arguments and see if they hold water. Would you put them on Twitter? We're up 188. ES is gapping 36. I have not looked at the econ. Okay, so yesterday the trader assist, blue or white, right? All this does is, in order to take the trade, it has to physically touch that blue line and have a square on it. Okay, for the longs and the shorts, you have to know which way you want it on. I obviously do not want the shorts right now, right? This trader yesterday, it's a race now. This one made about, I want to say 1,800, and the other one lost 1,400, and that's if you just left it running, right? Make no distinction, right? If you left the longs running, you made $1,800 on this trader. I do not have it tied to a more automated version of it yet. I'm working on it. Okay. So when you look at the market and go, which way do I want to trade? In order to use this effectively, you do have to look at the market and go, which way do I want to trade? The last thing I want to bring up, if you look at the history of bear markets, they tend to last 2 or 3 weeks and then they get really rough on the downside. Okay. You get a lot of bounces, a lot of responsive selling, and it's very easy to get addicted to the short side of the trade. And then the short side just disappears. Ask anyone who's been trying to short the last day and a half, right? You get a lot of this, right? You get a lot of this right here, where all of a sudden all your shorts were working, and then as if by magic, it just disappears and stops working. It can be very, very frustrating. And if you don't catch it quickly, you can annihilate any money you made on the downside. The last thing I want to bring up, we do get to markets that are generally pretty easy, okay? I really truly believe that. We do get to markets that are pretty easy, okay? It is important, right? It is important that that is the Delta trader. I just have it running. It obviously took that trade right out of the gate. But this is in sim. My other ones don't start till 8:45 that are actually connected to accounts. Okay. Um, it is pretty easy to get addicted to the short. It is pretty easy to get frustrated when the market flips and starts behaving differently, right? And it usually, if you think about it, everyone's been used to the market going down. Okay. They're going to have to adjust. They're going to be caught off sides, right? They're going to get caught off sides, and then you have these massive bear sweeps, right? And then all of a sudden they stop and become massive bear, meaning short squeezes, and then you get these massive rips to the downside. If you will let the market prove to you that it's working and then flip the algo on and off, you will have a much higher rate of success. Observe how far they're stretching and what's likely to happen. So for this morning, right, on the 60 minutes, right, when I look at this chart, and the squares, I want to reiterate on ES have been working fantastically, both long and short on the 8 tick on ES. I should by the end of the day have an ES trader available to send out. Just been fantastic for really the last 3 weeks now. Okay, I can't ignore it to this point anymore, right? So when you look at this chart right here, right, see how we swept? See how we keep sweeping this entire region? I'm going to point out, sweep this whole thing, swept this whole thing, swept this whole thing. See that? That blue line up there? If you drew a blue line, that's where we keep sweeping. Well, guess what? If you can sweep all the way down, you can sweep all the way up too. So my extended target here, right? We're trading 25, 223, and we can hit 25, 396. Now, the opposite of that, when do I think the character might change, is if we get underneath 25, 140, because that was a double top before, and they can just get exhausted up here. And we'll see what the volume looks like when they're up here, okay? And if it compares to prior days, right? You can see what I see here, right? What I see here is that all of a sudden the last few days is that the up volume in the first hour for the most part has been stronger than the down volume days in the first hour. I don't know if it means anything. It's just an observation, right? NQ and ES should be aligned for your best days, right? And lastly, figure out, right? Don't get greedy. If you could make $100 a day over whatever you have to do to build your confidence, right? Whatever you have to do to build your confidence, do that, right? Do that. If you can't make 1,000 a day, can you make 300 a day? Can you walk in every day and get some dollar amount and stack it? It does not work to go, I must make $2,000 today. It has no purpose. It solves no problem, right? Secondly, just because we're day traders does not mean there'll be a good trade every day. Thirdly, you have your own human limitations. Write down what you were trying to accomplish and look as if what you are doing is matching what you're trying to accomplish, because there's a lot of stress in this business, right? The only way to get rid of the stress is to trade so small that it doesn't bother you, right? One micro, basically, right? And you go, well, we'll see if it works. If it goes against me 100 points, so well, no big deal, right? And get good at the stuff you're trying to read. The last thing I want to show y'all, and I did it in the video, ES 8 tick, okay? The bars with the squares, preferably on the turn, short and long, by the way, short and long, okay, have been behaving very, very well. Do they always show up where you want them to? Nope. 2 bars up on an 8 tick chart is enough to take profits, okay? Square up, square down. Now, if you can align it with, which way you think we're going, right? All the better. Will you always get it? Nope. You could have said right here, this is a perfect long entry and a perfect long entry and no square, right? Happens. Trade what you're able to trade. But if you look at all these squares, you got one on the second bar off the low yesterday, right? You got a square on the turn pre-market. They're working incredibly well. If you don't believe me, go look. They're working exceptionally well right now. The win rate drops a little bit if you go back a couple months. Right now, they're hitting it about 80% on the turn, sometimes 100% on the day. So, and I do not have the stops measured out. I'm using small size and 10-point stops on these. Okay, it can't be more than bar 2 on the turn for me, and I'm taking a 10-point dinger. Okay, I'm trading small unless I have a reason to want to be big, and I am not trading the square stuff. It has to be in my direction or no dice. Okay, please go back and look. Just don't start trading it blindly. Use small size. Think before you take the trade. Don't act impulsively. The trader assist is not an automatic give me. It is not. It is what it is meant to do is to say, if I'm here, right? Let's say I'm over here and I go, I want to be long, right? It is meant that if it's to take that workload off you so you don't have to watch it inch by inch and go, I'm good being long here. I will take the square on the turn, and I can program that any way anyone wants. It can be bar 1 only. It can be bar 1 or 2. Right now it's programmed so it has to have the third channel. Right now it's programmed so that in order to take it, right, it has to be physically on this blue channel in order to take it. So therefore it would not take this, right? That eliminates some of the trades that it would take. Like it would take this, but it won't take this. I can change that, right? I can make it so it can't be any higher than the orange channel. That's the original version of this, right? It ended up stuffing me unless we're going vertical like this too hard. So it won't take this, right? Now you'll have to make a decision and tell me how you want it to execute. But know why you're executing and what you're trying to accomplish, okay? NVIDIA comes out after the close today. I doubt that we go straight up, but we could. There's my marker, right? Let me see what was yesterday's high. Here's yesterday's high. Roughly, and this is a prior day's high And I know I've got to be back underneath that prior day's high. Sorry, I'll make it blue. Right? The market changed again. Wow, I can't hit the right button here. Any questions? Dang it, I'm telling you, I'm hitting blue. There we go. Thank you. Okay. And so this should not come as a surprise because shorts are getting squeezed who thought we were going straight to zero. Bear markets are not the easy markets everyone wants to make them out to be in terms of shorting. Okay, so again, the account I started yesterday, I'm up 221 for the day. I was up 800 yesterday. I did not trade more than 9 micros at any one point. The gross majority of them were 3 or 6 contracts traded. Okay, and I let them stretch. Okay, you don't have to trade that much. I did stack it if I could get a stack. That's how I got it, the second trade to work so well. Okay, and then last night I traded a little bit. I'm up 221. Okay, and I showed everyone where I traded earlier. On the econ front, we have um, Barkin is speaking right now. Fed's Barkin. No econ. Schmidt speaks at 10 o'clock. ECB Legrand speaks again at 10:30. She's been on a roll. Musalem speaks at 12:20. NVIDIA at 15:20 after the close. May the force be with you on that. And that's all I've got. Okay. So obviously, right now, it is open drive higher, right? We are above Globex high. We are above the prior day's high. So I would like to, if I thought it was going to be short, and you go, Simon, what would it take for it to be short? I would go, we've got to get below, right? The value area, right? Look at the hourly value area, right? I've got to get below here right now, right? Okay. I've got to get below there. I don't even have to guess, right? And even if I get below there, right? Clearly, I've got to trap back in over here, 25,108, same thing, right? They got to get below that 25,108 area and set up short there. Otherwise, I don't have to walk into a landmine and go, why are they driving it straight up? Okay. I don't have to, don't want to, and don't need to. If it falls all apart, that's not my trading style. I don't trade like that, right? I want to see evidence so I don't keep getting ripped, right? I want to see evidence so I don't keep getting ripped. If anyone is confused, reach out to me before you are in trouble, right? You can ask, hey, Simon, do you think it's a good idea to short here? Like, let's say you asked, right? We'll use Timmy since he's not in the room. Simon, it's Timmy. Do you think I should short? No, I don't. Okay? No, I don't. If you do, it's incredibly aggressive. You're shorting the high of the day. We're not underneath anything. We have no one trapped. There's been no one forced up here. And you're going to have to just call it right. If you call it right, awesome. I don't care. Right? But all I'm saying is you're going to have to. Right? I don't have any evidence that we can go more than 2 bars down. And if it turns and burns off 100 points, that's not on me. That's the market's problem, not mine. Right? I'm just looking for where it's relatively easy to get my food to pay for the day if that's where I'm starting off. Right? I'm treating this account that's now at $51,000 that you gave me 2,000 bucks and said, Simon, can you make money off of it? That's the challenge. I'm going to go, sure. I can trade 3 micros on it and make money. That's what I can do. Right? And I go from there. That's my 2 cents. So no one, right? No one should be shocked if this thing rips to new highs. You should go, yeah, I thought we would rip to new highs, right? That's exactly what you should be saying. I thought we would rip to new highs, right? So therefore, when it does it, you don't go, I am flabbergasted, right? You should not do that because right now there's a bunch of people short and they are just out of their minds on the wrong side, right? They're just out of their minds on the wrong side of this trade. Okay? And that's all there is to it. Okay? So let them do what they've got to do. Okay? That's it. There's no reason to short. This is what it looks like when everyone gets caught offside. Okay? This is what it looks like when everyone gets caught offside. Okay? There's nothing to do. There's nothing to feel upset about. Just how it works. Okay? You have to break a swing. You're going to have to see some sellers come in. You're going to have to see someone go, yes, I would like to sell this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. Right? That's what you have to see. And there may, oh, I forgot the Fed guy is speaking right now too. Right? So don't be shocked. We're way down. Right? Bear market rallies are a beast. They are not automatic. Never have been. Non-stop. Because people are short. And these massive first hour bars, guys, by the way, suck. I'll be happy when they're gone. They make it harder. There's no question about it. These massive first hour bars make it harder to make good trading decisions. Okay? They just do. So the way I look at it is my morning's kind of a little bit over, right? I don't have a choice in that. It's kind of a little bit over, right? There's nothing for me to do here, right? It's open drive higher, trend up. I don't even have a way of getting underneath anything significant in here, right? If you want to see what's significant, go look on your hourly and let's see if this matches up at all. What's up here? Well, there goes that double top. It's so far back I don't have it. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to let it, dang it, sorry guys. I'm just gonna have to let it develop. That's all there is to it. Stupidity. Stupidity. Don't let it catch you. This is dumb. Okay? Don't let it catch you. This is dumb. Okay? You cannot beat it. I was going to tell you right now. Okay? There's no reason to have your short side trade on or your long side trade. You're going to have to let the market reset. Does everyone see that? If you want good trades, right? I'm going to say this again so everyone's clear. If you want good trades, you're going to have to let the market reset. Okay? People do not hear me, so I'm going to say it loudly so everyone can be on the same page with me. If you want good trades, you're going to have to let the market start trading. It is not trading right now, as far as I'm concerned. Why? It is not in the act of going up or down in an auctionable fashion. It is looking for sellers, is all it's doing. It's opened up and gone straight up. I can't get position long and I can't get position short. Okay? I'm going to say that again. I can't get position long and I can't get position short. Okay? Therefore, right? Therefore, I must just sit here and let it reset for my trading. There's too many people when I say this in the morning, so I want to make sure I have everyone's attention. They sit there and just turn it on and go, well, I'm just trading everything, right? The market's not trading, guys. It's caught in a vacuum of too many people short or too many people long simultaneously, and no one's looking for each other. There's an illiquidity movement, right? That's what that is. That's not tradable for us. Don't do it to yourself, right? Don't sit there and go, well, I thought. There's nothing to think about here. Everyone's trying to get out of their short position. That is what is going on here, right? And quick, right? And quick. There's not even any significant news. They're just like, please, Lord, let me out before we launch the next coming of the highs, right? They're all panicked. Let them panic. Don't you panic. You need a market going up and down. And the reason I'm so intense, you can tune me out if you want. There's simply too many people that go, well, I just turned it on at 8:45 and well, shit, I took 10 stops in a row on the short side, right? Don't do it. Stop. Wait till it actually starts trading later today. It's not doing it right now, right? Don't say, well, I had the shorts on because, or I had the longs on. We've just gone straight up 200 points, right? I'm not making it up. Look, here's the open. There's 830 right there. We've gone from 21,178 to 348 in a straight line with no negotiation. We did it the other way yesterday, straight down, straight up. It wasn't tradable. Don't keep making the same mistake. You just go, okay, today's not tradable so far, right? Don't tell me, well, I turned it on because a certain time hit or because we hit a level or any of that. Go, yeah, I saw it going up and down, Simon, so I turned it on. That's okay, right? The algo can make money when it's going up and down. It can't do that here, but I don't care what the freaking signal is, right? And it's just as likely to turn and drop 150 points at some point, right? And then you're going to have to go, well, it dropped 150 points, and that's that, right? And that's okay too. But let it do something that's indicative of it showing that someone wants to negotiate price It's not a slaughterhouse, right, for shorts. That's my suggestion. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I'm going to take a break now. I'll be back in a little bit. There's nothing for me to do. I need to see a rotation, right? I don't have one right now. Now y'all can go through your checklist, right? Now y'all can go through your checklist and go, we're above VWAP, above the 5-minute 200, above the opening print, above the above Globex high, and at the first hour high, and then write down what do I want to see to think this thing might roll lower, right? Because there's no rule that says it can't go up plus 400. There just isn't, right? There's no rule that says this thing cannot go plus 400, right? There just simply is not. Okay, so don't think that that is possible or not possible, okay? Because it's clearly right now doing it, right? Let me say that again. It is clearly right now doing it, okay? So far, the best rotation down I have couldn't break the last swing to the left, and it was a tiny swing, right? Let the market work itself out. I'm begging y'all, please do not take unnecessary losses because you're sitting here. It's stupid. Okay, I rarely use that term, but it really is. It is dumb to take unnecessary losses or pick a top on a market that's ripping vertical unless you're saying we're going to close minus today or we're going to go down 100 points and it's imminent and I know it because, right? Because there's no evidence that anyone has to get out of this market at the moment. None. They're so short and my streams are so bearish that it's not shocking that this is happening to me. And if you'll wait when it does this after 10 o'clock, as 10 did, 10:45 in the afternoon, we've been rotating better than we have in the morning. This is just Stupidville right here. And then when they're done with this, because it's a program, right, it might sweep down. You are looking for it to go up and down. That's the market we make the most money in a somewhat negotiated fashion, right? A little bit. So go, are they negotiating or not? Right now, they certainly are not, right? They are not. And do I get stressed? The only thing I get stressed about is I'm going to hear from somebody who goes, I couldn't wait and I took 10 trades, right? And I'm going to go, oh, I can't bail you out then, right? I got to wait till it's good for me to make money. That's all. And this goes in your notes under markets that are not tradable for our process. What is that defined as? Trend up overnight, open drive higher, non-stop up out of the gate, and not a single down rotation since 8:30 this morning, right? Nothing measurable. That goes in not my best market, right? That's what that category is. And I'll just wait it out. It's okay. Better than giving away my money, right? Now, if I'm a swing trader and I'm willing to short every 100 points up, starting here, and at 400, I'll add my next leg, and at 500 and 600, different story. If that fits my scenario that we're going lower, right? But otherwise, for me in my time frame, nothing. I'll be right back, guys. Excuse me. I almost got caught up on that. So in the meantime, I'm working on my journaling, right? I am asking basic questions, right? What do I want to see? Obviously, I would think the longs would work here, but I'd like to see some two-sided trade. Just go to the end here, right? And I'd like to see some two-sided negotiation in the market in general, right? There's the 32 tick, right? You might want to know, oh, I got to square down. There's a liquidity level there, by the way. That's the only thing I left off, right? And now what I want to see is, right, do we not get it? I have another question, right? What would be your biggest fear here? My biggest fear is that we stop and drop 200 points and go the other way, right? Everyone got cut out one way, they all get cut out the other way. So what I want to see, are we going up and down, or are we at a level? Is there a 50-60 retrace? So far there's no break of a swing. I'd say this is your swing right here. If you're aggressive, you can say it's right here, right? But that would be one piece, right? I'd like to see the dots up starting to get caught out and getting algos underneath them, right? That's the first sign right there. But I'd like to see a cluster of them up on top, right? And what I don't have to do is I don't have to be in a rush, guys. You will make money sometime today if you'll let this play out, okay? If you will let this play out, you will make money sometime today. If you force your hand, you will have difficulty, okay? So don't do it. Don't force your hand. You don't have to. And then watch. And it doesn't have to be me that says go. I'm going to say that again. Doesn't have to be me that says go, right? It could be you that says go. But write down why you took it so that if you're making decisions that aren't working, you go, I don't want to repeat that again, right? So I'm going to wait because my only goal is to make the money. Are you anxious about being able to make money today? Write that down. I'm scared that if I wait too long, I won't make money, right? The whole day will pass. Then write down if that's your fear, well, what would happen if the day passed and you didn't make any money and you waited till your best setup? What would that mean, right? Walk yourself out of the corner so that you can make good decisions, all of y'all. the other thing I want to point out is, guess what? If you get a square on an A tick on ES, you're highly likely to get a lift out of NQ, right? Pretty rare for ES to lift strong and NQ not to, right? ES is all the way back down to its RTH low and below Globex high, right? Pretty interesting. And by the way, if getting this short up here was or is important to you, there's nothing wrong with that. Figure out how to do it. Like the way you would have found it would have been through that liquidity zone that's been sitting up there forever, right? And that comes off the profile. Some people don't like to use liquidity. That's what that liquidity zone was able to do, was get the exhaustion out of that trade, right? I would mark off, right? Are my squares going anywhere, right? Be aware so that you can start to see when they're working great and when they're working meh, right? When they're working great, when they're working meh, right? This was at just before the open at 828. Worked great, right? Worked okay, middle of the channel, right? Only one bar down, right? Mark them off. What does square down do here? I would want to know, right? So that I can figure out what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, right? You're gonna have IB high stat and IB low stat open. NQ's nowhere near its IB low stat, but ES actually is. And NQ is significantly ahead of ES this morning, by the way. I don't know why, but it is. Some kind of news just hit. Or some kind of program or some kind of something. Now I see a rotation down, right? Mark it down, 61 to 87, sub 100 point rotation, but still decent rotation. No square on the turn. I want to observe. I want to see. I want to go, oh, they're taking it lower. Oh, they're taking it higher. I want to know, right? There's the 34 tick on the left. The squares seem to have been working pretty well on it so far this morning. I want evidence, right? So I don't get smoked. Does anyone have any questions over what I said this morning, right? Please hit me now when I'm totally relaxed. I don't have a trade on. I'm not trying to get any trade on. I'm watching it, observing to get better. Below Globex high on ES, not on NQ. Long way away. Again, it's really difficult when the first hour, as Bill will tell you, when the IB is wide, they tend to trash people. Just keep that in mind. Sideways chop, consolidation. They're trying to figure out what to do with it. It's run too far, too fast, but they're not liquidating it either, right? One step at a time. Let it build the argument for you, right? So that you go, we're going higher or we're going lower, right? If you need to, just use the 5-minute 200 period moving average, right? Which is right here, by the way. Maybe it's on this one, sorry. I have it on one of these, sorry. I know I didn't delete it. I wonder why it's not carrying it over. Maybe I deleted the chart accidentally. I did. I will have to fix that. I apologize. But we're clearly above. Okay. Now I know what I did. Sorry. I deleted that chart book accidentally. And we have 6 minutes until the bottom of the hour. And then we'll have IB stats open. And we'll have, okay, we'll be underneath the first hour. IB will be roughly right here. So setup's underneath 25 to 90.50, right? Meaning we get below, the whole setup comes underneath. Should work pretty well, right? And then the goal would be just to get to the bottom of the first hour, retest. On ES, it's 69.35, right? We're just above it, okay? Where that value looks like it's going to close. We'll adjust it a little bit in a moment, okay? Blue dot down, stuff by it with square, stuff by blue dot up with square. And ES is trying to climb above Globex high again. And we've kind of come to a standstill here. Everyone shot their shot. The other thing that you need to take in consideration, right? We're up 285. Most of these days have been up plus 300 to 400 points at their extreme. Not that we can't go further, but we have a lot of cross currents, and it's just hard when we keep doing these minus 300 plus 300s out of the gate, right? So I'm using all my tools available to me to figure it out. 9:40, we have Barkin coming up. That's in 10 minutes. White bar, white square down. Let's see if they go anywhere with that. You're high enough now, you're competing against with the first hour high, and you're not trapped underneath anything, right? You need to be below 25,290. So this is speculative. If you're willing to take the loss, it's a valid entry. It's a double square with a blue dot, right? But is it perfect? No. Where we love them is underneath that 25,290 and then below the first hour low, which who knows if we get there today, right? That's how you kind of read that off. And then you just make a decision. Yeah, I'm willing to burn 30, or no, I'm not willing to burn 30 on that. One of the two. So it's 25 to 55. And again, not below anything. It's just out there you are into liquidity. That's about all you got up here. And same on ES. You got to get below 69.35. Okay. Now evaluate when you write it down. Blue circle, double square, right? 50-60 retrace, right? 10 minutes till a Fed speaker, right? And then against the high, right? And then you're going to be competing against the IB guys. And then all you have to do is make a decision, right? It becomes easier. All I have to do is make a decision as to how you want to handle it, right? It doesn't become a apocalyptic endeavor. Double white squares, right? Again, we're not underneath anything. We are in liquidity. You got to clear the 25,290, right? And I will take small that white square at 36 and a quarter, right? That's pretty hard to take in front of the Fed speaker, so it's actually going to be one contract for me. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to sort out is the difference between the signal and my hesitation to short in front of Fed guys, right? And I'm going to have to iron that out, okay, for myself. But what's mostly gone on here is we've gone straight up overnight, 300 points, pretty much from Asia Open, with the exception of that one dip late in Asia, right? And it's been relentless to the upside since then, right? I would like to see them break the upside, right? I'm going to say it again. I'd like to see them break the upside, right? I'm short one contract, by the way. Sorry, right? I'm going to see if I can get back down to 31. Um, I put it at a 32 scale, please, on that. or you can take it here, either way you want to do it. Um, and I'm very small. Like I said, one contract, 32 covers me out. Really? I did not have a fill. I do not have a fill. Stop to break even on that. Okay. So now that goes down is not below anything. Double square down, blue dot hits my target, right? That's how I want to write that down. White square, blue dot, ES after retrace just above Globe XI, right? And wide eye short less contracts right in front of Fed speaker, target 32, right? Done on the ES. Okay. And now I have a note. Okay, we're open up, we're open drive lower, we're not below anything, right? I need this 25,950 to go. I have a Fed speaker coming up, and that's my trade, right? And pretty soon what will happen over time is you'll sort out whether you want to trade something or not in a particular area, right? In a particular area. But mostly what I want to get rid of, and I already wrote this in my notes, is I'd like to get rid of the 300 points straight up, straight down stuff that we're starting with every day because it forces me to wait for a reset in the market. Okay. It forces me to wait for a reset in the market, and I hate that. Okay. I have a purple bar, double square purple stuffed in front of the Fed speaker, and that usually gets a response. Not always, but usually gets a response out of that. Okay. That's just long time experience tells me that when I get that square down and purple at the double bottom, I can get a rotation back up off of that, especially even when we're trending down, I tend to see that, right? So now I can just make notes and write it down. Does that reverse it or not, right? I'm like 2 minutes until our Fed speaker. If you will take detailed notes when I ask you questions, you'll already know the answers to those things. You'll be like, oh, yeah, Simon, I took that because of this, or because of that, or because of the third thing or the fourth thing. But you won't be confused. And the reason you're having the market have a hard time respond is it's already made the whole freaking move up, right? Like there's not much to do. Like what's your hope if you're going long here? That outside of the technical, we could test IB high, right? Or we could test IB low on ES. What's your psychological, this is why I'm doing this deal? It's got to be pretty hard to figure that out, right? If you're a trader. Stay on your process. It's all I can say. There's no reason why people get to the end of this week and they don't get to their P&L. I'm looking at your note, Ed. Location and get set up. Location was. Can you tell me what the location was, Ed? Was it? Oh, was it a POC? Got it. I know what it was. It was a POC. Concur, and that's fine. And it's a great example so that you can repeat the process down the road, right? I did. I'll stop the recording right now. It'll be available in a little bit here.